I hadn't worked with Tori DeVito, who was an absolute joy. I loved every minute of being able to film in Italy. Those days, parents were a lot younger. I had to think about, has he ever walked into such a majestic cathedral? I'm thrilled that it's continuing to gain new viewers and more success.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Heart in Motion podcast. I'm so excited to welcome Will Kemp to the podcast. How are you doing, Will?
Hey, I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm well, thank you.
So excited. You've got a movie coming up on Hallmark that I'm really excited to talk to you about. But the crazy buzz right now that I'm getting on my side of things is Seeking Persephone, which is just crazy to me. I was visiting with Ryan Bailey last week, and I said, when I interviewed Jake back when it first came out on Amazon Prime and Fandango, it took off, but it was, when it really started hitting all of the other platforms, and the popularity for that movie is crazy. Did you ever think that this independent project would be doing this well 3 months after its release?
I think it's been a really thrilling journey for all of us, and I think it's a wonderful surprise. I knew that the people involved were special people. That's why I chose to get involved with them in the first place. So I knew that the components were all there. It's a great story, and it's a great series of books. So I knew that the material there, I knew that the creative people were there. But I guess you never know. And I mean, I'm thrilled that it's continuing to gain new viewers and more success. I believe it's doing amazingly gangbusters over on Angel, I believe, is
Yes.
now streaming it and is really getting behind it with their guild members. So no, I am absolutely thrilled. And of course, you probably have spoken to everybody as well, but we're very keen and eager to do more of them. There's plenty more to do. So it's
There's
just
a
figuring out how we do it.
a lot of, and again, and I think it's Jake's been doing a really good job of trying to explain, when you're doing an independent project and the amount of time and the resources and how long you can sit on a movie that's released on Amazon before any sort of like royalties or anything come in for
Yeah.
that, how it's
Yeah.
quite the process. So
Yeah, exactly. And there's a success which is sort of several layered because there's a success of it reaching people, and there's a success of people enjoying it and then putting it into a demand, and then there's a success that sort of builds success in terms of viewership, and then ultimately that there is the success which is the business side. So if it makes sense and if it's possible to make more, then of course that's what enables us because we could try and do it with all the good will in the world and everyone say, oh, I absolutely loved it. Why were you not able to make more? And then unfortunately, that's so the business sort of element. And I know these guys are very keen to do more, as am I, and as sort of everybody, given their schedules. But yeah, so far we seem to be definitely along the right path for every form of success. So I think we'll probably know fairly soon, I think is my guess.
so how did you get involved in the project? I
Mm.
know they presented it to you. I'm just curious because you're an executive producer of this project, correct?
That's absolutely right, and I've been doing more and more of that sort of position on things in sort of more and more capacity now, because basically it comes from a sort of love of putting things together and a real love of the process of making TV and film. Um, but I guess in short, how I got involved was because I was in Mythica for Jake. Jake reminds me constantly of how we first met. I was doing Step Up to the
Oh, I
streets.
saw it. I remember.
Yeah. And he may have already told you this, so please
He
stop me.
hasn't. Share away.
He was a supporting artist on that a background. I think it's one of his first jobs out of college, out of school, and he struck up a conversation with me and has remembered it sort of ever since. And we sort of loosely kept in touch. And then obviously as social media came into play, it was a great platform in which to reach out and to keep in touch that way. Cut two, he is doing a film. He's directing Mythica, so one of the great mythological films that he was also in. And they were doing another one, and he knew my love of that genre. And he just said, listen, I'd love you to play the lead in this, and I'll have to introduce you to the other producers. And there was obviously a process, but I ended up doing that, which I loved. And that's obviously where I met Ryann. I worked opposite Ryann, and Jake was our director, and John, like the director and the producer of Seeking Persephone, was the editor. So he obviously spent hours and hours looking at my face. And I think when they came to Seeking Persephone, I knew from Jake that it was a project they were trying to get off the ground for a while. First, I think I recorded um, Richard Lancaster's voice for like a promo. They had a shot of Ryann, and they needed to sort of being to have her being given the sort of the information about the Duke
Yeah.
has requested her hand in marriage. So I recorded the audio, and then I think as one thing built and they got financing and it went to the point where they knew they were going to make it, they were like, well, would Will play this role? And then Sarah, whom I then got in touch with via Jake, said that she would absolutely love me to play that part. And then I sort of said, well, let me help in this sort of to try and get it together. They came to the UK. So I traveled up to the north of England to these amazing locations, really very authentic. And John's so clever and sort of talented in how he makes things look. We always get amazing production value. So I was happy to come in really as a favor to friends and just help as much as I could, which is more my position as an exec producer is in that capacity. They do pretty much everything else. I help them a bit as much as I can, but it was really just to be a part of it and to lend my name to it and to be a supporter of them and this great story.
Well, that is amazing to hear. And I hadn't heard that story before, so that's awesome. They talk about, okay, we're gonna have to age Will up a little bit
Yeah.
to play
We
Richard
did.
Lancaster.
We talked about it. I mean, I this is something that I do talk about, and I've learned a lot as a producer or someone who goes to actors and offers them roles or brings in creatives, is that I was offered an opportunity to play a character and potentially one which I wouldn't necessarily immediately be cast in. To play a father and to play a character on the onset of dementia and sort of to get involved in a character if that makes sense. So not the lead was really what also grabbed me and was a new realm of opportunity. And I think that if you can offer an actor the opportunity to do something they haven't done before, or maybe something that they wouldn't necessarily be cast in straight away, that's the gift. And there's reason enough there, I believe, that a talented actor will take on the challenge or an opportunity to do something a bit different. We did talk about whether I should be sort of, have like gray hair, white hair. They should age me up. And I think it was ultimately decided that in those days, parents were a lot younger. And I feel that we have to have somewhere for him to go if we are lucky enough to do more. So I feel that even though I think the second book takes place like 3 months after, I don't quite know how they're going to approach the kids because kids grow so fast in
Gotcha.
sort of size and voices could change and things with the boys. So we talked about it, and I think we ended up. I liked it because I was able to grow my own facial hair. I was able to be very authentically look like that, and I think I would strive to do that again if we could get it. Um, but yeah.
I think, is Richard only in the first episode? Is that right?
Yeah. In the first book, I haven't read the others, but I've just shot another film, The Road to Ballycastle with Sarah. It was her first straight to screenplay, with Jake again as our lead, directed by John again, which is great, great fun. We were all on horseback in Ireland, which was brilliant. And she has alluded to maybe adapting the characters maybe in more than is in the
Mhm.
books,
Yeah.
potentially. Because I know they were very keen to. have me come play a bit more. So I haven't read the next one, so I don't know if he necessarily is in all of the books all the time, or if he will be in the screen version.
Hmm.
I haven't got to that, but I will be involved in every way I can be.
That's
So,
awesome. So we see Richard in a few of these little moments
hmm.
and we learn quite a bit about him. What was most important for you to convey about
Hmm.
Richard?
I think what struck me, and as a parent and as a father myself, was that sort of bittersweet. He's also being given and is the sort of messenger of the opportunity that his daughter has been asked for her hand in marriage, which is a bit surprising. But it's going to give him a financial security for himself and his whole family, for the sons, potentially to never have to worry again. So it's this real sort of mixed feeling of it's still his daughter who he's giving away. And it's not incredibly romantic, and and it's a person that he doesn't know really at all. He sort of knows of the family, specifically the mother. Um, so I think for me it was just trying to be honest about that, about the sort of sensibility to it and the sort of sensitivity and caring that he has for Persephone, but also sort of like it's an act of God almost, it's a gift.
Yeah.
And then within that, he's sort of drifting in and out of sort of wondering what's real and present for a minute, and then he drifts off into his own sort of, one would say, dementia, or sort of his own sort of realm, and gets very easily distracted. So the important thing for me, in answer to your question, is to have put all of that into the salad sort of thing, if you like, so that little bits crop up. Really, I had two scenes in which to pretty much port, well, three, I guess, because also the wedding, which was a wonderful opportunity to sort of show the distractiveness, which was also a gift of just sort of a random opportune mistake with my wardrobe. There was a button that was missing on my costume, and I thought that's a wonderful discovery. As an actor, I'm always looking for opportunities, whether planned or otherwise, to have a discovery, because it's real and it's happening while the audience is also watching. So it's actually a shared discovery, which I love. So that was a gift. So a lot was planned, but then I'm always very trying to be very open and intuitive to gifts.
Richard's walking in, you mentioned the wedding, and he's walking
Yeah.
in, and the looking around is happening and the taking it all in. Is that the distracted part? The
Yeah, I
why are
think
we here?
yeah, and I think just the grandeur. I mean, I had to think about, has he ever walked into such a majestic cathedral, like sort of church, and is there an element of all this sort of wealth, and that is perhaps a bit bewildering. Maybe he doesn't know quite how to act, and or is it a situation where he's suddenly struck by, this is whom I will be surrendering my beloved daughter to, and how can I ever compete? Because you would, I mean, as a father of a nearly 21-year-old girl myself, you do hope that you have a place in their heart for the rest of their lives, or well, yeah, their lives. I mean, and obviously my life, but so there's a little bit of that sort of giving away, which we talk about. The father gives away the bride was something that he never actually did, because he was slightly distracted by the whole scenario. And that, I think, is something that I hope that Persephone gets, is that she was never actually given away because of his distraction. You could say the dementia, you can say so whatever, but just wasn't quite present.
Yeah,
Which is interesting, whether that comes up again, and if that's something that Ryan and I could play with in future episodes.
absolutely. Well, I've consistently heard just the amount of collaboration that went on with this team and just
Mm.
the intentionality behind each little moment. I loved also that moment where Richard and Persephone are, he's reading the letter, talking about it, a little bit shocked himself. Did you and Ryan really kind of talk through that scene and how it would come together?
Um, I'd say we didn't sort of over rehearse anything. We didn't really. I think Ryan is such a talented actor that she's a great capacity for listening and allowing things to land and being affected
Hmm.
by things in the moment. And John shoots very, very quickly. John almost shoots too quickly for me. I sometimes have to ask for another take or say, "Hey, I've got a couple more things I'd like to try." And he almost says, "Well, so why? We got it." So moving on. He's a very quick. He won't move on unless he thinks that he has it because he's also an editor, right?
Yeah.
So there's a very strong technical brain there. Um, but like in the last film, we sometimes had wrapped really early because he had everything for that day. So he was like, "There's no point. We can go around and around and around, but let's just have a rest. Let's just." So my point to that is that we didn't do masses and masses of rehearsals, or he allowed us to play during our sort of filming of it, and he was also operating the camera.
Yeah.
Um, so no, I mean, I think what you see is genuinely the approaches that we both had.
That's
Uh,
just crazy to me because, so many people have talked about how many times they've rewatched this project. And
mm,
so, because they're continuing to find little bitty, the
mm,
nuances, the subtleties, the subtext, which you would think in your mind, okay, well, there were so many takes that they could just
mm.
get the best of the best. So, I'm guessing then it's just a combination of fantastic acting and directing and all of it coming together because for him to shoot that quickly, and
Yeah.
that's just amazing to me.
Yeah, and I think what's exciting when you're working on one could politely say a lower budget show, which for this one certainly was the case. But I feel, in fact, the one we just did was even smaller. You sort of rely on back to happy accidents and gifts, and you've got to be on it, and you've got to have done your homework and do all the process that one does, but also you've got to be very present and you've got to go with the flow. And if everything lines up well, then it should all happily trickle in the right direction. That's not always the case. And then we do talk about it and potentially, as a director should be doing, they should be able to just tweak and fine tune. So I know that we did do takes which were slightly different, or we would talk about sort of options of little changes and or sort of try this, try that, which I love. I love to play and I love to because you only get that chance and then when you move on, it's gone. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so even if it doesn't end up in the film, that's the bit of an actor's job that I love is the fact that you get the chance to try and play and then you give the editor more options, which I always think is a gift in the edit room to have more options than you need than not enough.
Have you had an opportunity to see the final project?
I have seen I've seen bits of it. I've seen a good chunk because originally it was a film, which is I think was about 3 hours long. It's a big, long, sweeping thing, and I think it was a very smart thing to. And I think probably Jake, John, and Ryan and Sarah probably already knew that there was a possibility to put it into a TV show or 2 episodes, which I think is very smart. And I
Yeah.
think it's in little bite-sized chunks. But it looks fantastic, and I think again it's very authentic. It's very romantic. It's also bittersweet. I think Jake did a phenomenal job in playing an unlikable character, really ultimately, but was able to make him very endearing. And I think that people have a lot of empathy for him, and you can see a struggling man and a struggling young lady also in her predicament and her sort of being, being sort of taken away from her home, her brothers and sisters, her father, her family, and sort of finding her way through. I thought like it's very Beauty and the Beast-esque, of course,
Mhm.
but I find this sort of image of this sort of um, very delicate sort of heart that's just making its way through these thorns to find the sort of soft petals at the end of the rose stalk. Does that make sense? Sort of
Oh,
just to
totally. Yeah. Yeah.
find her little place, and I think it achieves that. And it would be very interesting to know how and what happens next.
Absolutely. Well, and I was even watching the wedding scene again last night.
Hmm.
And like you said, I told Jake, I said, yeah, it's the Beauty and the Beast feel, but there's something the way he's portraying him that you still kind of want to root for him, even though you're kind of like at the wedding, you're like, you're a jerk.
Yeah, of course.
But
Yeah,
even that little subtlety of when they get in the carriage and Harry runs out and Harry's smiling and it conveys to us, okay, there must be something good about him because
yeah,
Harry's happy about it. Just those little bitty things that lets us know, hang on just a little bit
yeah.
longer. So,
Yeah, yeah, no, I mean that's another brilliantly played role because to your point exactly, you do get you get the sense that there's another character that knows what's happening is actually good for the Duke. That's
yeah,
actually good for him, but he's also very playful and there's a bit of like knowing that he's going to be uncomfortable and grumpy and uh yeah, then and I think without that sort of ally sort of character who also sort of is there to sort of show the indiscretions of the lead and the faults of the lead, and without that character, you're absolutely right. I think we might not have thought, oh, he must be okay deep down.
yeah.
So it's a very, very well structured book and characters and ultimately a TV show.
And a great setup for number two with us getting
Yeah,
to know Harry. So,
exactly, exactly. And I think I probably I'm not speaking out of turn, but I'm sure that if we got the opportunity, we would try and do a couple of them. I think probably back to back, just given everyone's availability now,
yeah,
and it would be sort of prudent of whomever was able to commission it that we did it, and we got a
absolutely.
bunch in, so they could maybe do a couple of books. That would be my hope.
You've mentioned the other project that you guys just
Yeah,
wrapped. I know you can't say a whole
yeah.
lot, but I think it's important
Oh,
for
I think
people to
yeah,
understand. Like you film it, it doesn't mean
yeah,
it's going to show up on our screen a month from now. So can you kind of
no,
give
true.
everybody a little bit of explain that a
Yeah,
little bit more?
and if you've spoken to Jake, I'm sure he'll tell you that this was another project that he had sort of been sort of brewing, and it sort of came out of a trip that he had to Northern Ireland to go horse riding on the beach and just to sort of spend some time in nature. And I think it sort of spawned an idea and a story, which then Sarah was able to adapt into like straight to screenplay. Um, and it involves Jake's character coming to basically be a guide in the Equestrian Island tours in Northern Ireland, the very tip, actually, very top, the beautiful Ballycastle, and sort of unwittingly finding that a very important part of his past turns up, and it's sort of how they reconcile previous sort of relationships and past history, and how they sort of repair and go on a journey to ultimately finding a new form of love or
Yeah.
relationship, surrounded by a bunch of motley crew and characters, I being one of them, and a lot of beautiful horses, surrounded by absolutely stunning cliffs and seas and beaches and coastal trails, and yeah, just real proper island sort of Irish pubs and that sort of background, which was very, very fun to work in.
I'm excited to see the story itself, but also to see it because just like Seeking Persephone, so much of the castle, the outside, the horses, all of that
Yeah.
were a character in and of themselves.
Exactly, and John's very, very, very good at that. He's very good at making things look very lush and finding wonderful natural light. It was shot very sort of sparsely in terms of crew. We had a skeleton crew, a small cast, no heads of wardrobe. We had one to makeup artist. We all looked after our own costumes. We were living in houses all together in Ireland. It was kind of like being back into doing the best form of a student project where everybody's really in it because they want to be in it,
Yeah.
and bringing the best of themselves all the time and trying to get on with new people that you'd not worked with. I mean, I'd worked with the makeup artist I made with Jake, but I met some new people. I had some great new people to play with and to work with. Charlotte, of course, who plays Jake's mum in Seeking Persephone, there's an interesting twist for people that have watched Seeking Persephone to see the characters that we both play something completely different, which is actually quite. Uh, I think that will be a lovely little Easter egg for people that are like, these are the two parents in the other thing. Hang on.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. So, was it all shot in Ireland? Because I know Seeking Persephone was also here in the
Yeah,
States
it
a
was.
bit too.
Yeah, there was also filming in Utah. Yeah, so it was between Northern Ireland and then the interiors in
Got it.
Utah.
Got it.
Obviously, that's where a lot of the cast are from. That's where John's production company is, and it was sort of easier to get a bigger crew
Yeah.
uh, on sort of their home soil, as it were.
Any idea on timeline for that one?
Probably next year, probably early next year would be my guess. Post production is always so I'm currently in post in something that I just finished at the weekend, and that'll be 6 weeks, and that's a bigger thing. But yeah, it's there's people's posts are very different depending on finances, depending on schedules, depending on all sorts of things. I think, as far as I know, we've got the same fantastic composer as Seeking Persephone because the music was
Wonderful.
a massive component to that success, I feel. So I know that we've got him, and again, that means that he's composing and recording real strings, which I think is a big difference. So yeah,
Everybody,
my guess would be next year, so yeah,
okay.
so possibly early.
You just gave everybody another reason to go back and rewatch because now they can just go back just to listen to the soundtrack. So,
Absolutely, yeah, and I mean, seeking Persephone, like I say, depends on the sort of business side of things. I understand, but then it's down to people's availability as well. So that I would expect to be whenever we can get it together, and then it's the process, right? But
yeah.
hopefully next year.
Okay, so switching gears,
Yep.
I mentioned Hallmark movie at the beginning of our chat. I'm wearing a great shirt
I
here.
know. I was going to say I haven't actually. I've been very restrained in sort of saying you look amazing in that shirt. Where'd you get it?
Talk about the new merch.
Look at the Kempers. Yeah, I'm thrilled about this. This sort of came about from the lovely community that is the Kempers that have been around for a number of years now. And when Dressing Festive approached me and said, "Hey, we are being asked all the time, and we're present at the conventions, and we hear people, and we've seen your Kempers. Can we collaborate? Can we do something?" And I just thought it's a wonderful opportunity to give people variation of shirts and merchandise, and the bracelets that there's a big thing. I actually haven't got one today, which is probably the first actually. And that helps the American Cancer Charity as well. There's a great Jewels of Hope that have supported me for a long, long time. So I feel very proud and happy that they will get a lot of support out of this. And we hope to also, as movies come out, there'll be certain merch which is tailored for certain films. And hopefully Christmas will be a big one as well without ruining, spoiling
There's a little
stuff.
bit out there already.
Yeah.
There's a little out there.
So my point is that it's a very sort of opportune time and it's a very exciting project. And I just said, yes, I mean, let's, and I have a say in the design and how they look and sort of things, but it is led totally by what people seem to say they want.
Yeah.
So Kempers, I'm getting behind them as they have gone behind me for many, many years. So that feels good.
I've seen some of the other designs. It's a
Yeah.
good variety too.
Yeah, that one actually is that's actually the one I have. I'm a big I that's a very comfortable sort of slightly what's the word? More I don't know, I love the idea of a Kemper's team. So
Yeah.
you could be part of the team with that very easily, right? It's like a varsity or do you say varsity or say varsity?
Varsity.
Yeah, varsity, part of the sort of
Yeah.
team or club. So
And I have to add, because people wouldn't know without me telling them, it is
yeah.
amazingly soft.
It's very
Very
soft, isn't it?
soft.
Actually, I wear that one to bed. So my
Yeah.
wife goes, "Oh God, here he comes."
Okay, so how can everybody get their merch?
Go to Dressing Festive. Dressing Festive have launched a Will Kemp collection page, and I think people are jumping on it. And yeah, go grab one. And I'm going to be at the Hallmark Christmas Cruise as well, so I hope to see people in them then. I hope there's an opportunity I can share some more there. I'll have to get the permission, of course. And then also to Kansas City, Missouri. I shall be part of the Hallmark Experience, so it'd be great to see people wearing them then. I can sign them if they want me to. I can take pictures, we can do whatever. And then as the cons come back in, I was at Christmas Con last year, so it's unlikely I'll go back this year, but the shirts will be there. So people can grab them even if I'm not there. And then when I am, I'm happy to sign them, like I say, or I should be wearing mine as well. And so it's just born from a sense of community, which I love.
Absolutely.
And people have told me stories of how they've connected. And I was recently able to do something for a couple of the UK based Kempers also, which I'm not going to spoil, but they were able to have a wonderful opportunity, a first-hand opportunity of coming to set. Um, and actually, some have been a part of the movie making process. So that also is great. So to be able to do that.
So the new merch is kicking off your new Hallmark movie, which is
That's right.
premiering on August 1st on
Toast.
Hallmark Channel. It's called Toast to Italy. Is your
Yeah.
character, is it Arrigo?
It's Arrigo, so he's half
Arrigo. Got to
Italian.
get the
Yeah,
Italian on it, right?
absolutely. There's these. That was a great opportunity. I hadn't worked with Tori DeVito, who was an absolute joy. She was a lot of fun, a lot of fun, and it was my opportunity to learn a little bit of Italian. He isn't Italian. I just want to get that out there, but his father was from London and his mama is from Italy, from Rome. So he sort of has ended up back in Rome, was brought up in the UK and London and other places, and has sort of gone back there. And is a writer for a food and wine magazine, a very sort of prestigious journalist, and he's trying to get his next promotion by finding this wine, Faraselli Rosso, which will then it's a very rare, and there's one bottle left, which is going up for auction in Rome, and it's going to be the grand prize of his magazine's uh, uh, what is it? It's like a game, like a grand prize for their sweepstakes or so whatever.
Got it.
But
Yeah.
more importantly, Jenny, who's played by Tori, it's her family's wine. And she has a long tradition where her great or her grandparents actually moved to America, and her sisters have always had this wine at their wedding. And the one sister who recently didn't have it is now divorced, and there's this sort of possible curse about if the wine's not present at the wedding, and they've run out. So she has to fly all the way to Rome to the same auction for the one bottle. And without spoiling it, they both mm, get outbid. And then they're both on this adventure, sort of caper, sort of to find in search for this possible wine. And so they sort of track this sort of lineage of, and she learns a lot about her family and whether they trust each other because they're both after the same bottle. Will they find more than one bottle? Basically, through this sort of course of action, you discover that the pursuit of this wine is also a sort of blessing of newfound love. So you get to see phenomenal backdrops of Italy, Orvieto that we went to, was stunning, and I loved every minute of being able to film in Italy, which I love, and I have done that before, and it's a wonderful opportunity for me to go back.
So you have done projects in Italy before.
Yeah, I have. I shot a film which unfortunately never got released. Les Cinéphiles, which is completely different, very dark, and sort of edgy, independent film. We were in Lazio and I was in Rome for about 5 or 6 weeks, and very sadly project actually collapsed, which I haven't had before to that degree.
Yeah.
Because actually we shot about half of it, and then mysteriously some money went missing. Anyway, so but I did have a wonderful opportunity to film, and I took 5 days at the end of this project to actually prep the next one, which was the road to Ballycastle. And I was able to then have 5 days in Rome where I was able to just slightly kick back and enjoy the food and some amazing wines and relax and have some fun with my wife, which is great.
Can you separate out a favorite part of Italy? I mean, is it the views?
Hmm.
Is it the food? Or
Yeah, I mean, Orvieto I'd never been to before, and it's much more inland. I'm always drawn to the coast. I'm always drawn to the beaches and to the water. That's my sort of natural. I have a big calling for water. So for me, it was actually really lovely to be up high in the mountains and in castles with amazing views, and just horizons that just, stunning. But also the air is just fresh. And again, just the food, the produce. But it was very much an enjoyable part of this to literally, as the character discovers Orvieto and other Toddy, and where else did we go? Just as a path of journey that we actually did, and it was so lovely to actually film in those actual places. I really enjoyed that. I had a great time and it's so old, right? I mean, it's centuries and centuries. The history goes back beyond, 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 beyond. So I was learning a bit about that also as the character was also learning, and yeah, I'm in any opportunity to travel and to work is great, and I feel very lucky that I've done that.
I'm excited to see it. I'm
Yeah,
a big fan of Tories as well. So
yeah.
to see you guys together is going to be fun.
Yeah, and we had a lot of fun actually. I mean, they're always tough. I think you hear actors, and I think it's possibly quite hard to sort of comprehend, but these are always shot in 15 days, and anyone who knows that schedule, and it's very interesting for new actors when they get the opportunity to come and do a Hallmark film, they are shocked by how quick we shoot. Sometimes you get one take and we're moving on and things get, you've got to be, it's on your toes for the entire three weeks plus the week of prep, or if you're lucky there'll be rehearsals if you have to dance or if you have to do a certain skill. I will always request as much prep and rehearsal time as I can get, but it's a very intense shoot. It's fun and the material's light and romantic and fun, but it's hard. You're on, particularly if you're number one, which is primarily the women, so Tori and other people I work with, you're in virtually every scene. It's a
Yeah.
lot.
You've done a lot of different types of projects.
Hmm.
Why do you keep doing Hallmark?
Do you know what? I feel a real love and affinity, and I always feel very lucky whenever an offer comes in. I'm very fortunate as an actor to have an offer because I have a great relationship. They trust me. I think I was asked to say the number, and I think I've done either 10 or 11.
Yeah, I
And
was pretty
so,
close.
my, right? Is that
Yeah,
about
I
right?
scanned it and I was like, because I
Yeah.
think I've seen them all. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the actual question was how many Christmas, and I feel as if I've done an equal sort of destination romance mixed with. I think I've done about the equal amount of both. Um, my reason have been, if I'm really honest, is that originally it's the sort of films that my grandma would have absolutely loved to have seen me in, and my first one was Royal Matchmaker with Bethany. Joy Lenz. And Mike Roll directed that, and we were in Romania of all places. Um, and it took a minute, as I said, for new actors to come in. It's a very specific genre. We work in a very specific way. Some actors can't and don't want to do it, can't understand how we do it. Some are desperate so to do it, and absolutely are like, how do I get into this? How do I get into this? So with all of that, I'm always incredibly grateful, and if I'm available, I'll always say yes, because I've been invited into the family. I do genuinely feel part of a group of people that are the sort of so lucky chosen ones, if that's maybe t too much, but it's actually I do genuinely feel, and actually last year I didn't have a movie and it felt weird, but that's the norm, right? That's um and I'm lucky that this year I will have one coming out in August and possibly another one, which is very exciting. And that also feeds me in my creative production side, as with The Dancing Detective. I That was a project that I exec produced. I was a co-creator of, and had a script that I had been developing with a very close friend for 2 years, and I really enjoyed that, and I want to do more of that, partnering with producers that I've worked with, and we trust each other. We love the way we work together, and to be able to develop more. There's very few places that you can do that, and that are still welcoming. They'll take the call, they will listen to the pitch. They may say that it's not right, but I feel I'm at a certain age and a certain point in my career where relationships I've built are actually things that I can rely on. And I feel, back to answering your question, why do I do them? It's also out of loyalty. And I'll always try and bring my A game. I'll always try and elevate any project that I can. I'll always try and genuinely care. And I feel that that is reciprocated.
Hallmark's doing so much more of that now, and it's working for them where they're
Yeah.
bringing in the actors as the executive producers and that collaboration. And
Yeah.
they've done some amazing projects and collaborations like that over the last few years.
Exactly. And I think, I mean, there's probably arguments for and against. But you're right. It seems to be working, and the people that I know that aren't doing it genuinely care and genuinely want to do the best, and provide the best possible material, and then production. So I think it's, personally, I think it's a very smart move to keep people that know the genre, know the audience, know how to get things done in that short amount of time, and understand the restrictions, and
Mhm.
understand also understand the gift. Keep
Yeah.
going on about this, but you can hear creatives complain a lot about the restrictions and the business side potentially, or just how are we ever going to achieve what we need to achieve under these circumstances. And I think what I've learned a lot from a production side, and being involved in productions right from the very conceptual, literally the concept of conception of an idea right the way through to post production, is that you always have to find a solution. You have to keep moving forward. And my appreciation for every department is tenfold. I already had great respect and curiosity, but having been in all the meetings on all the email chains and sort of knowing every area of the business is fascinating. In some places, it is slightly heartbreaking because the reality versus the sort of creative dream-like quality, you've got to be able to pair them up.
Yeah.
But I mean, I thrive and I enjoy doing that. And Hallmark have been very gracious and welcoming so far in allowing me to do that. So as long as that c continues, then I'll keep saying yes.
And you mentioned the Christmas cruise. You're going on the
Yeah,
cruise.
I am. I did the inaugural cruise, the very first one, and they've very kindly asked me back. And I'm thrilled. I can't wait. I had such a great time on that. It's a lot of fun. So many people go, "Oh my God, that sounds horrendous." Oh gosh, trapped on a boat. And part of that I was apprehensive because I don't do well literally in close quarters. But we're so busy. It's literally a 9 to 9 working day with a great group of people. The people that attend bring us so much energy. We ended up on the lower deck on our last night doing joining in the silent disco. So with all these sort of and
I was on the cruise this last year and it's
oh yeah,
crazy.
did you have fun?
Oh,
I
I
mean,
had a
what did you
blast. I
think of
had
it?
a blast. I actually got to sing with Jenna Claire, got to sing For Good during the variety show.
She can really sing.
Well, no, I, I got through it.
You had a great partner though, right? She
She was
can
good. She is a
she can
fantastic,
really
gifted, talented person, but she is an
triple
amazing
threat.
person.
Yeah, 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 yeah. You know, she's. I met her. I've met her at one of the conventions, and I think we supported Jonathan Bennett. I think I saw her at a premiere of his film in New York as well. That's what's so great about these, actually. Any sort of convention, any sort of gathering, is that we as a cast, as a group, as a stable of actors, I like to say that's what we are. They sort of get us all out and they are very good at sort of the casting of us all together in a room or on a panel. And it's great chance to meet people that you haven't yet worked with um and you actually, there's been situations where I've met people there and I've gone on to work with them. And because we've met, we know we have great chemistry. We've already spent a little bit of time together. So it does help. And you begin to find your pairings. And there's so many people that we could be paired up and actually not work with the same person for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Um, so any chance to get us all in a room or on a panel, sparks fly. It's great. I love it.
That's so funny that you mentioned that. I was sitting at Kansas City. I'm not actually too far from Kansas City.
Oh, cool.
And there was a panel last year at the Christmas Experience, and there was a panel of six, and these two people, they just kept playing off of each other. It was dynamite. And I looked back at somebody from Hallmark and I was like, you need to get them in a
Yeah.
movie. And you
Yeah.
wouldn't have even, you would have never picked up on that, but they were gold. And I'm like,
Yeah.
here is your next movie right here.
Yeah, no, and that's it. And I think people feed on that and there's a palpability to that, to chemistry. And I think that audiences who get a chance to come along to the cruise or a convention or the experience get to witness it firsthand because maybe in the genre and the sort of the light of all the sort of, cookies and hot chocolate and sort of Christmas twinkles or the romance or the wine, all these things, they think, yeah, 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 it's not real. But actually, when they see it genuinely sparkle and come from the cast, or sometimes there's a writer being interviewed who's actually really, you can see the mind and the heart that the work comes from. I think it's really reassuring for a lot of people that maybe think that it's acting, that there's a very genuine quality to the people involved across the board with Hallmark that is very genuine. And
Yeah.
I found that very early on, specifically working with Lacey Chabert, specifically early on. I've done 3 movies with her, and I was personally very happy to find the sincerity. Being English also, it's very hard to immediately tap into all of that sort of big heart. Everyone talks about how they feel, and it could feel saccharine and fake and pretend and plasticky and all of those things. But working with Lacey, when I was trying to find the tone of what we were doing, I just had to be very open and very honest with her genuine personality. And that was my sort of benchmark for what is the tone and what is the ethos. And I was very lucky that
Yeah.
I've kept that with me. And now I've now been able to be very genuine, I feel, in the roles I played and genuine on screen. Um, so that it's always come from a true place. I've been able to find that genuine warmth or love or flirtation or belief or Christmas spirit
Yeah.
twinkle. So for me, it is a very genuine, happy place, and I actually that's also one of the reasons why I think you keep going back because you know that if you do literally let it into your heart, it can feed you. So the Christmas cruise, the experience, any sort of Christmassy stuff leading up to Christmas, always every year gives me come the real Christmas, I'm sort of overflowing with sort of all these, warmth and family and fun and festivity and celebration that it takes you over, but it leads you from like, I wouldn't say July, but potentially because we often
We're there.
film a lot of Christmas stuff
Mhm.
in July, and that's obviously they do have Christmas in July, but it definitely can feed you into that place of Christmas that you're like, ugh, overflowing by that point, which is lovely.
Absolutely. People ask me sometimes, when you're doing the interview, Stephanie, what's the vibe? And I said, well, if it's Hallmark people, I'm just telling you, they're kind. Like
Uh-huh.
they're kind.
Yeah,
And
and I
I just
do.
think Hallmark gets good people.
Yeah, and I think, look, we all have our bad days, right? We're all human, but I genuinely think that it is a place where good things happen to good people, and I'm a big fan of that. Um, and I think it's not enough to only be good and kind and all the rest of it, but I do applaud where that is rewarded, and sometimes it's not because people don't quite get into that, and but if it's part of a family, it's kind of our job also to tell each other to hey, you know, be good,
100%. Yeah.
be kind, get the job done.
They added a variety show on this last cruise that was not there when you were there before. Are you
Yeah,
game? You in?
the variety. What I don't tell me about that. I
They,
don't.
I,
I
well,
know
I
they've
just
got.
think it's amazing because we see you guys do these movies and we have hints of these other talents that you have that occasionally can like feed into the story. But it was an opportunity for all of these Hallmark people to get up and do something that was a little bit out of their typical do a movie of the week. So, Andrew Walker and Rachel Boston are up doing a song from Grease. And then Jonathan Bennett and Heather Hemmons are doing doing Suddenly Seymour. And then we had the Wicked stuff with Jenna Claire, but Aaron Cahill's husband got up and played the guitar. So there's a lot of singing and all of that.
Yeah,
But maybe we need to, I mean,
amazing.
you got something you could pull off, right?
It makes me sweaty just even thinking about it, but I'm glad you've told me because I have a bit of time. So
Get prep,
yeah,
get prepared.
yeah, get
It
prepared.
was great.
Yeah, there are a lot of sillily talented people that are triple threats that are very capable of doing other things. Christopher Palaha plays the guitar. He's got a great voice. And have a lot of people have that sort of talent, musical talent. I unfortunately don't. I've got to be honest. I don't sing specifically. I don't play an instrument. So I feel very, very inadequate very quickly.
But we still got the
Thanks for
dance.
the warning. I'm going to come up with something.
You've got the dance stuff even still going on. I noticed on your Instagram, don't you have you're doing some judging, aren't you?
Oh yes, yeah. Judging is definitely I get to support young performers. Yeah, the All England Dance Finals are next week actually in Eastbourne, and I've been very very honored to be asked to join the judging panel for that. I think it was like 2,000 kids or something, and there's like 200 schools across the country. It's a big event, and I'm thrilled. I mean, but judging and being supportive is how I would class that. To actually getting up and dance, it's been a long, long time for me. So, but I mean, hey, I've got time. So when is it? The end of October? Where are we?
You've got a few. Yeah, you got
Maybe.
it.
Yeah, perhaps I'll have to
Get it going now.
get stretching now. As long as I can get some good rehab afterwards with, stretching and massage and some Epsom salts in a hot bath and an ice bath. It just takes such, I'm just older. That's all it is. Just older.
They've got a great spa there.
Yeah, well, there you go.
There
I'll
you go.
be in there for a week.
What weekend are you at Kansas City?
Kansas, the last one, week
Okay,
four,
weekend four.
weekend four, yeah, which I think leads pretty much into Christmas. So
Okay.
hopefully everyone is still fired up by Christmas and is still got loads of enthusiasm come that weekend.
It'll be great. I got to go weekend one and three last year. And I'm going weekend three this year, but I told Hallmark, I'm like, hey, you get me back. I'll come every weekend. I'm
Yeah,
only two hours from there. So
that's amazing. Yeah, and I've never been to that one, so that'll be a first for me. So
first time at the Christmas experience.
yeah, yeah, and I've never been to Kansas City either. So
You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. Hopefully you get a good weekend. Last year, there were a couple weekends where it was abnormally cold.
oh really?
Yeah, but Hallmark's fantastic about, shuffling a schedule to where you're not out there just like, like
Yeah,
this when
yeah,
you're lighting
yeah,
up the Christmas tree, but it's a blast. A lot similar things to the cruise as far as
yeah,
the panels and all of that. So a lot of
yeah.
fun.
And the cruise is interesting, right? Because it's warm, so we're there, and I was wearing like a pair of shorts and my Christmas
Really warm.
sort of short sleeve shirts, which was fun. But I'm guessing Kansas will be proper hat, gloves,
Pack your
scarves,
coat. Pack your
pack
coat.
pack my thermals.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
irony is that we've often shot Christmas movies, like I say, in like July when it's boiling hot, and you're like, so there's this weird relationship with Christmas that I'm confused if I should be wearing shorts or if I should be wearing thermals.
The coat will be legit this time.
Yes, good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know. I will definitely pack some. So what I also love to do, not that you've asked, but great to keep some of the stuff from the films,
Oh,
and then I often will wear them at certain events and wait for people to go, was that in Jolly Good Christmas? Is that the
yeah.
jacket, the same jacket, or is that the same
Hmm.
scarf?
Hmm.
So I may
Got some
have
stuff.
some of
Got some
that. Yeah,
tricks up your sleeve.
yeah,
Well, Will, it's been fantastic to talk to you. I wanted to visit with
yeah.
you definitely about Seeking Persephone, but
Yep,
knowing that you've got Toast to Italy coming
yep.
August 1st on Hallmark Channel, I'm so excited about that. And we've heard sprinkles of a Christmas something coming up down the road,
Absolutely.
so we'll be looking
Keep
for that
those
as well.
sprinkles alive. Perhaps we'll get to talk again before the year is out. I feel very lucky. I've had a real sort of splurge of work recently, which has been thrilling, tiring, exhausting, but thrilling. And hopefully that will keep us going through the end of the year. And then hopefully we'll be back here talking about Seeking Persephone again next year. Road to Ballycastle. You'll have Jake, you'll have Ryan in, you'll have us all back, I'm sure. So it's
Love it.
absolute pleasure
Abs-
to be speaking with you. And I love the merch. Big up the Kempers. So thank you.
Thanks so much. All right, bye-bye.
Cheers.